India sees 4 times increase with a margin expansion of 270 basis points. Adani Total reports a 6% increase in revenue and a contraction in margins. Over 40 flights across airlines received bomb threats today, either on social media or via calls. Airline teams are currently monitoring the situation. There's a new AI model in town and it's in Hindi. Nvidia expands outreach as CEO Jensen Huang, during his visit, launches a Hindi AI model in India, says that it is the toughest regional language model area globally. Bhubaneswar and Kolkata airports suspended operations from 6 p.m. today up till 9 a.m. tomorrow as Cyclone Dana is set to hit the West Bengal and Odisha coast. Eastern Railway also cancelled more than 190 trains from 8 p.m. today. In a boost to the space sector, the Union Cabinet has approved setting up of a venture capital fund with corpus of 1,000 crore rupees for promoting startups in the field. Your festive shopping gets a tad more expensive. Gold and silver price cooled off after hitting fresh record highs earlier today, mostly driven by festive and wedding demand. Hello and welcome. This is Profit 360 on NDTV Profit and I'm your host Mallica Mishra. Along the next half an hour of the show, we'll bring you the latest on markets as well as national and international news. Nifty and Sensex settled at over a 2-month low for a third consecutive session. Sectors traded mixed, with FMCG dragging nearly 3%. Agam Vakil joins in with a wrap of all the market action.
Well, another subdued day of trade for the Indian markets, with the Nifty looking at a cut of around 0.2%, marginally lower, but the Bank Nifty bucking the trend and advancing up by over 0.5%. And among those contributors, we have HDFC Bank as well as SBI. But let's take a look at the Nifty heat map and see how things have fared out there. So firstly, we have nearly one gainer for one loser on the Nifty 50. Advances for Ultratech Cement, Shriram Finance, along with Titan, Grasim and M&M. And on the losing end, a 6% cut for Hindustan Unilever, along with SBI Life and Hindalco. Also looking at a decline of 3.7%, which of course has also recovered from day's lows. When it comes to the advanced decline ratio overall, that's once again not very encouraging. The market breadth has seen one advance for two declines. And even if you consider the mid-cap and the small-cap indices, well, it does seem like we're looking at a little bit of an underperformance with respect to the benchmarks. A 0.25% cut for the mid-cap index, the small-cap index down around 0.6%. And even in terms of the key movers, the key gainers in the broader markets against the key losers, you do have likes of Piramal Pharma, Sona BLW, Aster DM advancing by 10 to 17% on an intraday basis. Adani Total and Adani Wilmar, where the earnings came in a little later on in the day, coming out with good earnings, with good reception as well. On the losing end, KPIT Tech, VIP, as well as Dr. Lal Path Labs, and of course, Hindustan Unilever, reacting to earnings. We continue to keep an eye on the FMCG pack, even as we are expecting earnings to come through. That said, we will be watching out for how things pan out and whether or not there is a bout of short covering in tomorrow's day of trade.
Very well, thank you for that, Agam. Earlier this morning, we spoke to Nissan Joseph of Metro Brands, and he shared insights on consumption demand in rural and urban areas. Take a look.
We don't look at it as urban versus rural because, the recovery was different if you go back post-COVID. What you're seeing post-COVID is a lumpy recovery, right? And in a good way, too. So we had a great year, the year after COVID, and everybody had a little bit of a challenge. So when it recovers and the economy tends to normalize, well, consumption tends to normalize, it's not a straight line recovery or normalization. It tends to be a little bit lumpy. What we're really happy about, though, is that the fact that two things. One is our Q2 numbers saw an improvement over our Q1 as far as, year-to-year growth. That's number one. Number two, we continue to maintain our profit percent, though we did not have the revenue growth, which shows that, there's some strong operational and financial discipline inside our organization.
FMCG stocks are under pressure as giants report weaker earnings. Today's trading session saw a mega sell-off for key FMCG stocks. Mahima joins in with a detailed report.
Well, a couple of FMCG companies have come out with Q2 earnings, and there are some commonalities amongst the commentary that the management has given in terms of these FMCG results. First up, the demand has been under pressure for urban areas especially. Rural recovery continues to outpace the urban demand is what the management said, but demand is also being impacted due to extended monsoons. Now, in terms of raw material pricing, raw material prices have inched up and gone up. Salt prices have significantly increased. Tea costs have gone up by 20 to 25%, and commodity prices remain elevated, especially for coffee and cocoa. Now, in terms of price hikes, the price hikes were announced for the companies in Q2 as well. But what the management has said that if the raw material prices remain elevated, then these price hikes might go further in few quarters as well. Now, to talk about company specific, HUL said HUL's gross margins for the quarter contracted by 140 basis points. They expect margin to remain in the same range, and company might take low single-digit price growth if raw material remains to be elevated. Their underlying volume growth stood at around 3%. In terms of Tata Consumer, the volumes declined by 4% due to weak demand, and they expect overall margins to stay flat or see slight improvement overall in FY25. Lastly, Nestle, the cost of raw material has gone up by 6% for the company, and EBITDA margins have taken a significant hit from a 24.3% mark to 22.9% mark. So all of these companies are facing pressure in terms of demand, plus raw material prices are elevated, which is kind of hurting the margins. So this is the overall view of how Q2 is panning out for the FMCG companies.
Thank you for giving us that overall view on the FMCG space, Mahima. Now, Adani total shares jumped over 7% on the back of a solid set of second quarter earnings. Revenue rose 6% from the previous quarter to 1,219 crore rupees, and net profit surged 8% to 1,886 crore rupees. Adani Wilmar reported a strong set of Q2 earnings, defying the FMCG trend of weak numbers. EBITDA surged 4 times to 566 crore rupees, and margins expanded 270 basis points from 1.2% to 3.9%. Now, Nvidia launched its Hindi language AI model in India at a 3-day AI summit that is underway in Mumbai. CEO of Nvidia, Jensen Huang, delivered the keynote this morning, and NDTV Profits Rishabh Bhatnagar brings us the major highlights from the day.
The Nvidia AI Summit. Now, this is part of the several summits that Nvidia holds across the world, and this started with the CEO, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang, sort of wooing Mumbai and talking about how important a hub Mumbai is for them. He said that Mumbai is central to global IT, and that IT industry is seeing a lot of shifts, seismic shifts as we expand. The major headline, of course, was the release of the small language model for Hindi, and while releasing that, he also added that Hindi is probably one of the toughest models for sort of mapping and creating an LLM out of. Apart from that, there were interesting partnerships that were announced by Nvidia from giants like Reliance, Ola, TCS, all adopting Omniverse, which is another one of Nvidia's platforms that's used for digital twinning. Apart from that, we had Tech Mahindra and Nvidia also announce a center of excellence that will be set up as a joint venture. Huang was very, very bullish on India. He said that India's AI manufacturing ambitions should exist because India has long been a software exporter. Now it's time to export AI. It's time to manufacture AI and then export that out of the country. Those were some of the few key takeaways that we had from day one of the Nvidia AI Summit.
Thank you for that, Rishabh. Now, here's what Nvidia CEO said about developing AI in Hindi at the Nvidia AI Summit 2024 in Mumbai. Take a look.
We've worked with partners here in India to build the Hindi large language model. And Hindi large language model, as you know, there's 25 different formal languages here in India, with apparently a dialect every 1,500 kilometers. And so you don't have to go very far before you need to train another model. And so here in India, if anybody, this is the hardest language model region in the world. And if anybody could do it, you can do it.
Now, speaking at the Nvidia AI Summit 2024 in Mumbai, Jensen Huang compared the process of naming Nvidia in 1993 to India's name.
In 1993, we had to come up with a name for our company, and the reason why we chose Nvidia, I'll do the extreme short version. The reason why I chose Nvidia in the end was because I really love Nvidia sounds like a mystical place. And so yes, India, Nvidia. And sounded like a great place. And so if it turns out that computer graphics and accelerated computing didn't work out for us, we could do almost anything.
Well, moving on, a big boost for space sector startups. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, in his cabinet briefing, has approved 1,000 crore rupees of venture capital fund for space sector startups. The indicative investment range will be from 10 to 60 crore, and this fund is expected to drive innovation in satellite tech, launch vehicles, and space application. Along with that, the cabinet also approved of 2 railway projects worth 4,553 crore rupees for North Bihar and 2,245 crore rupees for Telangana's Amravati. A severe cyclonic storm, Dana, is expected to hit the eastern coast of India. It will affect West Bengal and Odisha the most. IMD has issued warnings for severe weather conditions with wind speeds reaching up to 120 km per hour. Bhubaneswar and Kolkata Airport have suspended operations from 6 p.m. today up till 9 a.m. tomorrow. Eastern Railways have also cancelled more than 190 trains from 8 p.m. We have Saurabh Gupta from NDTV to give us more details on the matter.
Cyclones in the Bay of Bengal, originating in the Bay of Bengal, is not a new phenomenon. It has been happening for years. And ever since the super cyclone of 1999, there has been an effort by the state governments of these states, especially states like Odisha and West Bengal, to try and minimize the impact and damage caused by cyclones. And there are 3 aspects to it. How do they do it? How have these governments, state governments, gained the expertise in managing cyclones? Because we've seen over the last few years, the number of people losing their lives due to these cyclones has been gradually decreasing. Though the target remains 0 casualties, this time around 2, several measures have been put in place to ensure that the impact of the cyclone is managed in an effective manner. Now, what are the 3 things that governments do? I'll go through them one by one. 1 is, of course, evacuation. 2 is cyclone shelters. And 3 is getting fishermen back from the sea to the safety of land. You can see, of course, as winds pick up, the first thing that governments do, these state governments do before a cyclone makes landfall is evacuation. Evacuating people to safer areas so that these people who live sometimes in kacha homes or structures that are not very strong, so that they don't actually, lose their homes or lose their lives. These people are evacuated to safer areas. What are these safer areas? Well, in rural areas, the main stay of these safe homes is, of course, what is called cyclone shelters. And these cyclone shelters have been built in all these districts wherever these cyclones make landfall. And the coastal areas all have now cyclone shelters. These cyclone shelters are specifically designed to withstand high-speed winds. But not only that, they have facilities for, providing food and drinking water. But one important thing that often many cyclone shelters have built into their design element is also the fact that they have space for livestock and cattle. Because sometimes people don't want to leave their homes. If they have livestock, they want to lose all that. They consider them like family. So to bring the livestock and cattle along, these cyclone shelters also have those facilities. Apart from that, they have facilities for children, making sure they have milk, etc. All of those facilities, drinking water, medicines, all of that is provided at these cyclone shelters. The third thing, apart from evacuation and cyclone shelters, is getting fishermen back to land, because that's something that the Coast Guard is also involved in. This happens through, these mechanisms that the Indian Coast Guard has. They send out ships to sea, they flash these messages so that fishermen are alerted way in advance. They don't venture out into sea, they don't lose their lives in these cyclonic storms, and they're all in the safety of land. So these are the measures that these state governments take, and they've had success with these measures. Gradually, we've seen in the last few years, like I said, the casualties due to cyclones have come down, and it is because these state governments have these plans and they're ready to tackle the impact of cyclones that come. And even as we now prepare for Cyclone Dana, as you see overcast skies and the winds slowly picking up, these measures have already been put in place in districts of Odisha and also districts of West Bengal to ensure, at least target, that the cyclones have zero casualty.
Now let's take a look at what IMD Director Manorama Mohanty spoke about the path of the cyclone and its ferocity.
Today, if you see, a red alert is issued as we have issued yesterday as well. That is in Mayurbhanj, Baleshwar, Bhadrak, Kendrapada, Jajpur, Jagatsampur, Cuttack district, heavy to very heavy rainfall. At a few places with isolated extremely heavy rainfall, very likely. In these districts, and red color has been issued for these districts, and orange warning is issued for the district of Puri, Khorda, Nayagarh, Dhenkanal and Keonjhar district, where heavy to very heavy rainfall very likely to occur at a few places or isolated places. And also yellow warning is issued for the district of Sundargarh, Deogarh, Anugul, Baudh, Kandhamar and Ganjam district. For 25th also red alert is issued for the district of Mayurbhanj, Keonjhar, Baleshwar, Bhadrak, where heavy to very heavy rainfall very likely to occur at a few places with isolated heavy rainfall. And red alert has been given for this district, and orange color warning is given for the district of Jagatsampur, Kendrapada, Cuttack, Jajpur, Dhenkanal, Anugul, where heavy to very heavy rainfall very likely to occur at isolated places.
Over 40 flights across airlines received bomb threats today, either on social media or via calls. Goa International Airport and the Manohar International Airport were also put on high alert after 4 aircrafts bound for them received bomb threats. Airline teams are currently monitoring the situation. Aditya, explain us what's the chaos about.
Exactly. So the menace of hoax bomb threats continue, and this is not stopping. The tweets that are claiming that there are bombs placed in the flights are coming regularly, because of which the flight operations are getting disrupted. Now, today itself, more than 50 flights have gotten impacted by this, and according to our sources, nearly 20 Air India flights have gotten disrupted, and Indigo has confirmed 20 flights getting disrupted. Apart from that, our sources are also telling us that 13 of the Akasa flights have also gotten disrupted. Now, amid all of this, we need to look at what is at stake here. Our sources told NDTV a couple of days back that around 500 crores loss has been made by the entire aviation industry. Now, this loss has increased to over 600 crores. This loss is piling up, and it will go further more, because when a flight lands, there is a lot of expense involved to it, which is landing charges, parking charges, and then the facilitations that are given to the flyers. Now, all of this is not stopping, and the government is in action. All the security agencies are in action. Now, we'll have to see that what steps the government takes here to curb this menace. Social media handles have also been warned against all of this, because a high-level meeting was held with X and Meta yesterday, where they were told that this issue cannot be tolerated and they have to take stringent actions upon this. So it's only a wait and watch game as of now. The flights continue to receive these bomb threats.
Well, thank you for explaining that to us, Aditya. Definitely a 600 crore rupees loss cannot be ignored. But moving on, the struggle to reach an agreement on the seat sharing for the Maharashtra Assembly elections continues between Mahayuti partners. Chief Minister Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena and the Ajit Pawar-led Nationalist Congress Party (NCP) reached Delhi at Amit Shah's residence. My colleague Ashwarya joins with more details on this.
Well, the Mahayuti leaders were supposed to meet yesterday, but because of the unavailability of Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, this meeting got postponed. And now all the leaders of Mahayuti alliance had come together to meet at Home Minister Amit Shah's residence. It was first Devendra Fadnavis, later NCP's Ajit Pawar, Praful Patel, Sunil Tatkare, and from the Bharatiya Janata Party, Devendra Fadnavis and Chandrasekhar Bawankule, also Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, they all have arrived at Home Minister Amit Shah's residence just behind me, and this meeting has now started. Altogether, what we have been told is that the Bharatiya Janata Party wants a bigger fraction. As far as the BJP is concerned, they want to fight for at least 150 seats out of 288. Remember, BJP has already declared 99 candidates so far, and they want more 50 to 55 candidates to be declared specifically in the Mumbai and Mumbai suburban zone, but it is also NCP and Eknath Shinde, Shiv Sena, who's staking claim in this particular region, and therefore the reason perhaps to sort this out, a meeting had been called. Remember, today Sunil Tatkare, senior leader of the Mahayuti alliance, came out and stated that nothing of that sort as far as disagreement or not being very happy with the alliance partners is something that is absolutely fake speculations. They are going in one line, and therefore the reason perhaps today's meeting will decide rest of the 106 seats in all the zones of Maharashtra, and in upcoming 2 or 3 days the remaining seats will be declared by these three major political parties of the Mahayuti alliance. But remember, it is Eknath Shinde who wants a bigger fraction, and NCP's Ajit Pawar also wants at least 50 to 60 seats to be contested this time, but they have been reduced to 40 to 45. What happens next is something in this meeting that will come out.
Thank you for that. Now, in an exclusive to NDTV during a rally, Aditya Thackeray, leader of Shiv Sena UBT faction, talks about how their party has worked for lots of issues existing in Maharashtra and their plans for elections.
They have woken up in the past 1 month. If you see, we have been working on ground during our government and after our government. The BJP and Eknath Shinde have looted Maharashtra like never before, like never after. I think that is what Maharashtra has been seeing. Jobs have gone away, industries have gone away, farmer distress at its highest. This is what we are fighting against.
Okay. Aditya, Mr. Thackeray, yesterday MPA came up with this formula which is 85, 85, 85. Looks like there are disputes.
I haven't heard that as yet.
No, there was a press conference in which everybody sat down and said 85, 85, 85. But what about the remaining seats? Do you think there are certain disputes?
Today will be all good.
Well, gold prices hit an all-time high, yet the demand continues to grow. NDTV Profits Durva went on ground to get insights from buyers and sellers alike. Take a look.
With gold prices taking off this festive season, jewellery has become heavier for the pockets of Indian consumers. However, jewellery makers have found new ways to bring customers to their store by bringing in new schemes.
Dhanteras is in the offing, and this is considered by many as an auspicious time to buy gold. However, with current prices, consumers are having second thoughts. Gold has crossed 76,000 rupees per 10 grams, and this is weighing heavy on wallets.
What it was before and now, there is a lot of change in the price, so we don't feel like buying, what of a choice. Because of the scheme, I said let it be, at least the making will be like, because I was expecting the price will rise within a month only. From lower middle class to upper middle class, I think all will be impacted. It is predicted that it will go to 80,000, 1 lakh. So if it is that way, then I'm not going to buy. I'm going to say stop.
10 grams pay, it is really raised up to 25,000. So if I'm buying a 40 grams, so at least 1 lakh difference.
मैंने पिछले साल खरीदा था तो काफ़ी कम था. I think it was 55,000 कुछ का रेट था. अभी 71 हो गया है. तो पिछले साल जो मेरी स्कीम चालू रहती है हमेशा.
Some customers are pre-booking as there are no signs of gold prices cooling off. Schemes and discounts, though, are helping lure in customers.
Compared to last Diwali, there is a 25% increase in gold rate because this geopolitical tensions happening in Middle East, and also a lot of central banks in various countries are buying gold. So that is the reason for the increase in gold price as of now.
For most Indians, buying gold is not just a tradition but also an investment. Festivals are incomplete without jewelry. With the government reducing import duties on gold in this year's budget, consumers may still hope for some golden sheen this festive season.
And a quick programming alert for a deeper dive on this. Watch the big story at 6 p.m. today on what is driving gold and silver prices higher. Should you buy, sell, or hold? Well, but that's all the time we had on this edition of Profit 360. But stay tuned to NDTV Profit for more news and updates.